Do you know when and why the Soviet Union was formally dissolved? The Soviet Union, once a formidable global superpower, began to experience its own share of troubles. The seeds of stagnation were sown and ethnic separatism began to flourish, leading to a period of political stalemate and economic backslide. The once vibrant powerhouse was now succumbing to its internal struggles, and the unity that held it together was slowly dissolving. Enter Mikhail Gorbachev, the last president of the Soviet Union. He had a vision to reform the political and economic system of the country, a daunting task given the state of affairs. Gorbachev's efforts were seen as a beacon of hope, a chance to turn things around and restore the Soviet Union to its former glory. However, his efforts were akin to trying to hold water in a sieve. Despite his best intentions and tireless work, the Soviet Union was on a path of irreversible decline. Despite Gorbachev's best efforts, the Soviet Union was on a path of irreversible decline. As the political crisis escalated, several republics began to break away. The leaders of the Russian, Belarusian, and Ukrainian SSRs were the first to cast their stones, declaring that the Soviet Union no longer existed. This bold move was a stark reflection of the deeply rooted political and economic stagnation that the Union had been grappling with. It was clear that the centralized power which had once held the Union together was waning under the pressures of reform and political stalemate. Following this declaration, a wave of separatism swept across the Union. 8 more republics, each with their own distinct ethnicities and cultures, joined in, echoing the sentiments of their fellow states. Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Moldova, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Armenia, and Georgia. Each of these republics declared their independence, adding to the chorus of voices calling for an end to the Soviet era. With the departure of these republics, the Soviet Union was effectively disintegrating. On Christmas Day, 1991, Gorbachev resigned, marking the end of an era. This was a pivotal moment in history, as the leader of one of the world's superpowers stepped down from his position. Mikhail Gorbachev, the General Secretary and later President, had been instrumental in attempting to reform the Soviet political and economic system. His efforts, however, were unable to halt the political stalemate and prevent the economic backslide that the Union was experiencing. The very next day, what remained of the Soviet parliament cast their votes. In a monumental decision, they chose to dissolve the Union. This was a significant event, as the Soviet Union flag, once a symbol of a formidable power, was no longer flown from December 26, 1991. This marked the end of the Union's federal government and the cessation of Gorbachev's reform efforts. The country, which had been highly centralized and was made up of 15 top-level republics, was no more. Thus, on December 26, 1991, the Soviet Union was officially dissolved, ending one of the most influential political entities of the 20th century. So, what happened to one of the world's superpowers? Internal stagnation, ethnic separatism, and Gorbachev's unsuccessful reforms laid the groundwork for change. Several republics began to sever ties, weakening the once powerful Union. The final blow came when leaders of Russia, Belarus, and Ukraine declared the Soviet Union no more. 8 more republics soon followed suit. On December 26, 1991, the Soviet Union formally dissolved. The dissolution of the Soviet Union marked a significant shift in global politics, the effects of which continue to be felt today.